Okay guys, for today's game vlog, let's just go and try to work on creating some spikes. And I just want to show you how we can try to work with this. So I was just thinking of having some sort of an outline first. Outline, then perhaps we can try to create a new... In Gimp, you can create color palettes. So let's say create a new palette. Then let's say I would want this to be Datus Quest Spikes or palette for Datus Quests perhaps. And I think if we try to add this now, we have that black as the first color. Then if we try to search for a color palette for wood, let's see where can we get some for pixel arts. Perhaps we can just type for pixel art. I think this is a good site, Law Spec. There we have the wood palette. And let me just open my notepad here. I'm going to get this link here. Going to put that on we have our palette now, so let's just go get some of the information here. Let's put that here, click that OK, and then add create a new entry, so you get that new entry there. Then if we go, where's that? Let's go get this 8882, just so at least we'll have some sort of a reference already. Okay, so we now have a Datus Quest palette. Now let me just go and create now some spikes. So perhaps a wooden spike. Just go start from here. And I'm using the control mouse button or control key. And let's just go here, and then perhaps we can duplicate that, flip horizontally. So now we have those. Let's merge that down. Let's go and try to do the exact same thing here. Let's just duplicate, flip. Now we have some sort of a spike. And I think we can try to just adjust this when we are already on Unity. Now let's try to go and add some outline here. Let's say I would want to go some sort of layer that will have and I'm pressing shift key here. Let's just go. It's like a pencil, right? And now let's go have some larger, just to add some sort of just to demonstrate that this is going to be a wood. I think that doesn't look good, so let's add some curves. Add one of this, and then let's color this colored. Let's go get that dark. I'm going to get this here. You can adjust the hue, saturation of this for it a little bit more darker. I think that's good for me. Then let's go get the top portion. We can separate this. So let's have a colored copy with top, just to group things, right? So let's go get this yellowish. I think this is a bit yellowish. Yep, let's adjust this hue to a bit lighter. How will that look? Okay, I think that's good. Then we can even add some gradient if we wanted to have a little of gradients here. Let's see if we can try to do that by adding a bucket fill. Then we can choose half. I think that's too much. Or just because we are having this. Or we can perhaps have this one. Nope, that doesn't look good. What can we do here? What options can we... Can we use radial? Or perhaps we can unselect this first. We can add some top shadow. Let's just try doing this way first. So we can add some shadow here. Rather than using gradient, perhaps try to implement this. Will that be looking better? Now let's just go use the regular bucket fill. And if you go back here, let's go put that there and select none. Let's have some and of course we can try to reduce the opacity a bit. We can also add a layer for the border to just increase the we don't want that to be dark. Perhaps we can just put that down here. And then for the border, if we wanted to increase at least That's some sort of a increase border. I think I exceeded my grid here. Sometimes I have a tendency to do that. And perhaps we can now try to duplicate that and flip it. Now we have a bit of a much of a let's just, or we can just keep that like that. And in the border we can also have another border copy that will be adding some. That doesn't look good. Or let's delete that. On top, let's have a layer that will be, sorry, we want to have a new layer, and that will be edge border addition. Not sure if that's the correct term for that, but I just want to increase the, at least if I decide to, I would want to remove this, I'll just remove the layer, right? Okay, first we can try to add some more. Okay, so I've created a spikes folder in my environment, and then I'm just going to export this now. So what I did was just go to file, then go to export. Now we can go to Unity to test out how this looks. Okay, I have that in my spikes here. Let me just go to my inspector and set this up to 144 because that's the size of pixel per unit of my objects. Let's go try to drag that inside of our test scene 2 here. Let me just drag this in here. Now we have that and apply the revert. We have that there. Perhaps we can add some, we can adjust that. We can either use this or this one to adjust the spikes sizes. We'll have some sort of different spikes. Let's see. And I'm going to also drag this. We can have some spikes that are big. Let's duplicate that. I think we can duplicate that, Control D. Let's see if we now have 2 spikes. Control D. Another spike. Control D. Another one. Control D. I think it's a little too big, but for the meantime, that's working for me. So we can actually reduce the size. Or we can create a variety, right, for this. Just let's have this, and so we can put that down here. It will be a lot easier for it to, or we can create a prefab of this first before we go do some manipulation. But for the meantime, I'll have that for testing. But normally we would want to create some sort of a prefab. And let's say, I think we should have created a prefab first. And we can have some, before we duplicated it. Usually what we want to do is try to go to our projects folder, go to our, just close this, prefabs folder, and we would want to have some folder, and we can say spikes. And we can drag one of this, and that's what we're going to be. Let's go to our hierarchy and to go get this one. Then that's the one that I'm going to drag into my prefabs folder. So that from there we can do a lot of manipulation, no? So from here, from the prefabs, we can go now, so that will be implemented in the different versions of the. We can do some changes here depending on what you prefer. So if I go and try to manipulate the size, I think this will just be for testing purposes, so I'll stick with this small version. And then we can just now drag more and more of that prefab here. Where's our project folder? So we can now drag plenty of those prefabs. And once we try to change some aspects, or let's say sizes of this prefab, it will be available for, let's say I want to have some sort of a box collider here. What did I add? Let's undo that. Let's have a box collider 2D. Let's check out the box collider for this. Now we have that box collider implemented to all of those, unlike the ones that we have here that still doesn't have box collider. If we created the object in that way, from where you would see the prefab version has all of those box collider, because if we created it without prefab, you would see that that box collider would not have been implemented. And let's say I would want to add a damage player script here. Let's see if our player will get damage, but I think we need to add some sort of a way for our player to move to that area. So let me go here, let me just go delete some parts of this for the meantime for testing, and let's try to test this and test out how those spikes is going to be working for us. And now if I jump from here, I think we have to also delete one more. This just for us to be able to get there. And let's play that out. Here you would see I'm not getting injured with these spikes. If I go here, that should be damaging me. Okay, I think we need to adjust the box collider, but the player is getting damaged by the spikes now, right? And again, just to see what's happening here, I'm not getting damage here, but with the ones that has a box collider, I'm getting damage, right? Of course, we want to have some sort of an animation for that box collider, or those spikes hitting our player.